Welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Danny Kanell. That's Bud Elliott. I'm Chip Patterson coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe, smash that like, and come and join us in the chat, a.k.a. the Cover 3 Tailgate, where Preston says, I just want to hear DK say, the snow never bothered me anyway, in his closest Elsa imitation. Was Frozen a little too late in the game for your girls?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Elsa, I was right in the thick of it. Yeah. We were the first one. We were right
Frozen.
there. Yeah. The second one, they were too old. They had already grown out, but we had a lot of Elsa.
Is this Frozen we're talking about?
This is Frozen.
Yes.
Okay. Never seen any of them.
Frozen's solid.
Yeah.
Well, that is, scientifically, that is very true.
It's it's your classic, like the first 40 minutes are kind of like bangers, just song after song after song after song. Then you've got to tie up the plot. And so like the last 20 minutes gets a little lost as they land the plane. But speaking of plane, that the snow never bothered me anyway, we are all systems go. We are fired up to be the warmth for your Thursday because
better have some fire.
As a reminder, we are still going to be locked in and fired up to be your spot for Thursday night. If you have not already RSVP'd in advance, please go and do that. We have an episode in the episode description. We've got a link so that you can get your name on the list. The name on the list gets you in the building. You can also buy some tickets. We've had some listeners, some fans, some viewers, some members of the Cover 3 Tailgate. They want to reserve special seating for the Cover 3 Tailgate live in Fort Worth at Tannehill's Tavern and Music Hall. And just a little bit of a scene setting, just to let you know what we've got. The show will start 5 p.m. Central. It'll go until about 6:30, right up until the kickoff of the Orange Bowl semifinal between Penn State and Notre Dame. Then the boys are off the stage, and that's when we're going to be going concert sound with the Orange Bowl for the watch party. We've got a few extra TVs. We're going to open up the connecting lounge. I mean, the whole place at Tannehill's is going to become the Cover 3 Orange Bowl watch party, and you'll be able to enjoy half-price pizzas and drink specials. We are going to have some service right there in the concert hall. Servers will be able to bring you food and beverage all throughout the Orange Bowl. So this is going to be your spot. You are not going to want to be hopping around from place to place. So we've got you covered with your entertainment with the Cover 3 live tailgate. We've got you covered with watching the game, and we've got you covered with your dinner as well, thanks to half-price pizzas and drink specials. All of this, snow outside, but nothing but fiery takes inside to keep you warm as we get set for the college football playoff semifinals. Again, Thursday, January 9th. Fired up to spend all that time with y'all at Tannehill's.
You know what keeps me warm in the cold? Half-price pizzas and drink specials.
Oh, yeah.
It is very possible I'm going to log 14 hours at Tannehill's and love every bit of it.
No
I mean,
doubt.
it's just
There are worse places to get snowed in, right?
Just set up shop, put my flag down. I mean, like Garrett in the tailgate says Cover 3 karaoke, maybe. I don't know.
They don't want that.
Can I throw something out there?
Yeah.
Well, it actually wouldn't impact our show, I don't think. Have you guys seen anybody saying they might play it on Saturday?
Not yet.
You haven't seen anybody push for that or suggest that? I guess anybody reputable.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the offhanded, man, I don't know how they're going to handle the game. But until I hear that teams have not been able to arrive as scheduled, my assumption is going to be that the game will still be set for its Friday, 6:30 local, 7:30 Eastern kickoff. The forecast really only has Thursday.
Yeah.
The snow day, and then temps go up to the 40s after that. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Have you seen anybody start to mention that?
Somebody, I was just talking to Sirius, my boss at Sirius, and just talking about logistics about the game and stuff. And she mentioned to me, had you heard about the game being pushed? Or she had suggested, I was like, I haven't seen it anywhere. But I don't know. Maybe because we just had one changed, but I mean, that was
no.
really different. I don't know how people think it's just easy to change a game. I would be shocked if it got switched.
It required literal homeland security.
Yes, exactly. That's a totally different situation.
Yeah, change that situation.
Yeah.
I think it will be it will be a factor in the experience, but it ain't slowing down the Cover 3 tailgate. And also, I feel like this was something that didn't necessarily connect all the way, and I apologize, maybe my fault on the messaging, but you're going to be able to watch it live on YouTube. So even if you're not going to be at the event, we're going to have that opportunity for you to be able to chime in, send along your questions. Make sure you're following the Cover 3 podcast on all of our social channels. We might solicit some mailbags, some big old bag of mail, some Q&A, some AMA, ways to be able to continue to make it interactive for everybody that wants to be involved, even if you can't make it to Fort Worth. Fired up. We'll be getting on the plane tomorrow, and then it'll be all systems go for the very first in-person live show. Again, there is the QR code right above Tom's head right now. There is the description. There is the link in the episode description that we're fired up about it. All right. Let's see. Here we go. One more question from the tailgate that I got earlier. I love that the tailgate gets it started. Here we go. Zach says, list the starting quarterbacks of the Final Four teams in the order of who you'd rather have starting for your team.
One's pretty easy.
Drew.
Wait, what he said?
He said Drew.
I was going to say Will, since we're all going on first name basis. Yeah. Will Howard's been really good all season long. I think this is not NFL. This is not projection. This is out of these four teams, out of these four players in the college football scene. Who would you want?
Yeah.
It's Will Howard.
Ooh.
Who would you have?
Are you going Will Howard too?
No.
Okay.
You'd have Drew?
I would go Drew, Riley Leonard, Will Howard, and then Ewers last. Ewers last by a lot.
I would go Drew, Howard, Leonard, Quinn.
Is it the tools? DK, I'm kind of with you.
I mean, Will Howard's been phenomenal. I think you guys are disrespecting Will Howard.
I might take Riley Leonard.
Is there a single skill position player other than Tyler Warren left in this playoff who would start for Ohio State?
No.
I mean, I think it matters who he's throwing to. And like Chip is scheming up a lot of really open stuff. I mean, he made some nice throws in that game against Oregon, but
I thought he made nice throws in the Tennessee game. I was going back and looking at that. Like he had that thing on an absolute rope. It was like the explosive plays happened in the Oregon game, like the wild, huge bombs, but just being able to deliver. Tennessee's secondary, we're not going to throw them up as a bunch of future Pro Bowlers out there, but he still made some awesome throws.
I would also have Quinn Ewers over Riley Leonard. I like a quarterback who can throw, even if it throws it to the other team sometimes.
So you would have you would put Riley Leonard fourth.
I think he's the best athlete out of all these quarterbacks. I do not think he's a good thrower of the football. And it doesn't mean they can't win a national championship. He plays great within their system. And he's probably my favorite kid out of all of them. He's like an incredibly likable human being. Love him. I would have him fourth on this list.
I mean, I think all four of them are top 10 quarterbacks in the country. But if you're asking me to rank the four of them, one of them's got to be last.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I don't know about that. If they're all four top 10.
Who are you putting ahead?
Cam Ward, Shador.
There's 6.
Jackson Dart.
7.
Sawyer Robertson.
No.
You would take Quinn Ewers over Sawyer Robertson.
Yeah, I would.
I bet you if they were both on the open market, Sawyer Robertson gets like clearly more money than Quinn Ewers.
And he probably gets drafted higher too. But if the question
he's
is,
also got more eligibility.
Curtis Rourke,
who played way better. Like Ewers has not played well this year.
No, I like Sawyer Robertson too. I'm just saying, it's my only point. Maybe one of them is 11 or 12. My only point is that all four are pretty good.
Yeah,
that's why they're here.
Cade Klubnik, top 5.
No, God, no, please. Cade,
top 50. That hate coming next year.
Top 50.
Oh yeah, I'm glad we've already dug in our.
Would you take Levitt or Ewers after watching that game?
Would I take Sam Levitt or Quinn Ewers?
Like if I have one game to win,
yes,
I'm
taking Sam Levitt.
I would take Quinn Ewers.
I like Levitt.
One game to win, I'll take Quinn Ewers.
If I get the rest of their college careers, I'll take Sam Levitt.
Would you take Tyler Shuck or Quinn Ewers?
Both
Did
are
Quinn?
in.
Does
Both
Quinn?
could be knocked out of the game.
Yeah.
I mean,
Shuck's
injury
got better
history is
arm
not
strength.
exactly great either.
Yeah, he's got better arm strength though. I
Yeah.
guess I'd go Shuck there.
I like Quinn Ewers has won some big games. He's played well in
Yes.
some big spots.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Yes.
we're talking about going out there and winning a big stakes college football game, Quinn Ewers has got some good performances. He's got a season's worth of injury impacted performances that are a little bit less than expected. We take Kyle McCord over.
I'd take Kyle McCord over all 4 of these losers.
Kyle,
That Pitt game is hard for me to get out of my head, but
Yeah.
That was
We all have bad days.
that's
Yeah.
true.
I like that a lot. Thank you, Zach, for jumping in it. No, we mentioned Cade Klubnik earlier. There has been a little bit of movement on the assistant coaching carousel, including a question I wanted to pose to the guys. So, Mel Tucker, let's take a spin.
I don't know because we don't normally do shows on Tuesdays. So I don't know if you can hear it, but it is the first Tuesday of the month, which means that our tornado sirens are going off.
Was that like practice?
Yeah,
Like a
it's like a
testing?
test. So if you guys hear any weird kind of in the background, that's what that is. Because I sure as shit hear it really loudly right now.
That sound you hear is Tom gearing up to break some news. All right, so this one was not exactly breaking news. Anybody who follows the program closely has understood this has been coming for quite a little bit, but it was made official that Wes Goodwin, the defensive coordinator, will not be continuing with Clemson. Now, what Goodwin's specific future is, I'm less tuned into this, but it is Dabo Swinney taking some action after a season where that defense was a step back. We saw it exposed, especially we talked about the run defense a lot this year. We talked about the way that it just was not up to the standard of a lot of those ACC championship and national championship contending Clemson defenses. So, Bud, what do you make of this move here? And do you expect Clemson to, are we just going to shuffle? We're going to bring back a familiar name? Like, how is this going to fall in the Dabo Swinney, assistant coaching moves? Like which bag is he going to pull from in terms of the way that he addresses this problem?
So I am surprised that this did not work out, right? I had always heard that that he was kind of Venables' go-to guy. That like Venables would basically talk over other coaches in a meeting to talk to Goodwin when Goodwin was just an analyst and like really respected his opinion. So I think it's inevitable that you're going to go from like maybe the best DC in the sport in Venables to somebody who's not Venables, that you have, some bit of a drop off. But like, it was a bit of a risky move to promote a guy who had not been a DC before, right? And who's just an analyst, or at least not at Clemson, to see if it worked. But I also don't know that their talent level is quite what it was when Venables really had them kicking ass. I mean, like, is there a Dexter Lawrence on that line? Like, they've had like a Tyler Davis, but like Tyler Davis is tiny, like that Dexter Lawrence is built like a refrigerator, like it just different size humans we're dealing with. I feel like Clemson used to have like elite size that could also move, and they're a little bit smaller now. I feel like relative to the speed that they play with. I don't know what they're going to do. Like, yeah, Peter Woods is good. I don't think Peter Woods is as good as like Dexter Lawrence and like those guys that like we grew up watching.
But Peter Woods is probably more of the Christian Wilkins,
Agreed.
where he's like,
I don't think he's as good as Christian Wilkins though. Like
Fair.
stylistically, I totally agree with you. I could be wrong, but I mean, I don't think he's like crazy special. I think he's really good, especially for the ACC.
And sophomore too. So still, stacking experience, trying to get there.
I don't know where they go. Like, do they try to just like get a guy? I mean, if you're Dabo, how much are you looking at Oklahoma and being like, all right, Venables is going to get fired after next year, right? Probably. Like the odds are. And what are the odds that Venables actually is Oklahoma's coach in 26? Less than 50%, right?
Wow.
Like if you had to put it on it, like do you think they're going to win like 8-9 ball games next year?
I'm going to go 60-40.
60-40
fired or 60-40 stay?
60 to stay.
Okay, so we're basically both like coin flip-ish. Tom's a little more weighted coin.
I believe that
What's
Oklahoma will be
their
loyal.
schedule next year?
I think this is a
Same
great
as this year,
job.
except you swap home and road.
I think this is a great job. I think this is a top 5 coordinator job in the country. You've got job stability because Dabo's not going anywhere. You're going to make good money because Clemson pays. And you're going to have great talent and a pretty workable schedule. I know they play LSU week 1, which is going to be awesome. But you should be in the playoffs, barring any sort of setbacks. I think this is a great gig. You can parlay it. Tom, are you worried about your defensive coordinator in Illinois? I saw his name crop up. I do think this is one, and I also think Dabo, he's loyal to a fault, right? We talked about that a lot when it took him so long to make the changes on the offensive side of the ball. I think maybe he saw, oh, look, I went outside the program and brought in Garrett Riley, and look how well it's worked. He's developed my quarterback. My offense is humming. Maybe I can do the same thing on the defensive side of the ball. I do think some of the names that are out there are a little bit lofty. Like I saw Tom Allen's name on there at Penn State. I saw Banks at Tennessee. I don't think those guys are leaving that job. But I do think a Jim Leonard I saw was thrown out there. I think it'd be phenomenal hire. He's in the NFL right now. I think he's more of a college guy. I think that'd be good. Santucci at Georgia Tech. I saw his name come up where I do think that's a bump for him, a better gig. He's done phenomenally well at Georgia Tech. I don't know where they're going to go, but I do think they'll be able to pick from a pretty good crop of names.
Tom, you got any
not to mention, sorry, last point, not to mention either the fact that Dabo is willing to dabble in the portal now, I think helps.
Yeah. Without also being portal reliant, where you're going to be asking your assistants to also have to always be mining and trying to figure out and deal with that kind of turnover. If you want to trace it all the way back, time is a flat circle, but you had the offensive problems. You hired Chad Morris. Chad Morris got the offense going, and then Kevin Steele's defense fell apart. You hired Brent Venables. The offense had gotten stuck in the mud. You hired Garrett Riley. The results were not as instant as they were with Chad Morris, but then as you upgraded the offense, defensive issues ended up cropping up. Not that I still think it's a pretty talented defense. It just seems as though preparation, play calling, just a lot of the operation of that unit. Dabo Sweeney and some people around that program feel like Wes Goodwin was falling short of where they could be. And if you do get somebody who can bring that kind of expertise and that kind of level of seasoning that might not have been there, then maybe that group does end up taking a jump, because you mentioned Peter Woods. There are sophomores and there's sophomores and freshmen on that group. TJ Parker's another one that I always bring up. There's some good, really, really good players on that group. They just probably need to be a little bit more sound when it comes to red zone, defending the run. I mean, basics of football type stuff. If they can shore that up, then yeah, they should absolutely be. I mean, they're the team to beat in the ACC, right?
For
By
sure.
far.
They'll be the
By far, yeah. Okay, all right.
Are they going to be odds on? You're not going to get plus 200 on those guys, I don't think.
We need to see what Miami does at QB in the portal.
Right.
Very true. Yeah, right.
But I think it's a very attractive job. I think that Jim Leonard makes a lot of sense for both parties. If Jim is interested in getting back in the college game and being a head coach, I think there's a far worse ways to do it than being the Clemson defensive coordinator. And I think if Clemson wants a very good defensive coordinator to fix their defense, Jim Leonard's a very good choice for them. As for Danny, you mentioning Aaron Henry, I have not heard that, but I will say, wouldn't be surprised if Clemson wants him, but I would be surprised if Clemson gets him, because I just don't know if they could afford him.
Are you sure that Tim Banks would not go?
I think
you could argue that depending on relationships, contracts, and goals, and I don't know Tim personally, so I can't speak to it, but I don't know if that's a step down. It's a step down in conference. I don't know if that's a step down in job.
I agree with you. I just wonder if it came down to money, Tennessee would match.
And if Tennessee wanted, if they want to, are you so impressed with the job that has been done that you are willing to throw down a little extra, or do you think that you would be able to either have somebody internally or somebody else in mind that you could go and hire as a replacement without getting as much of a drop off as you would if the money gets run up in negotiation?
That's what's interesting about this spot, because wasn't Clemson the first school to do the $1 million coordinators?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're in a landscape where I'm not sure if Clemson, while we know that they're willing to spend, if they can actually spend at the same level as SEC and Big Ten programs.
I mean, they're willing. We'll see what ends up happening there. One last thing before we hit a break and start to get into our locks for the college football playoff semifinals. In the NFL coaching carousel, obviously a lot of jobs started to change hands, a lot of firings, a lot of movement on the Monday after the conclusion of Week 18. Among them, Seattle Seahawks parting ways with offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. Ryan Grubb, who was hired initially to be the offensive coordinator for Kalen DeBoer. Grubb and DeBoer were linked at the hip. They had moved from school to school together. A lot of that offensive success had been there. Our friend and colleague John Talty wrote a story for CBSSports.com, sort of a column setting the stage for what could be a Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Grubb reunion. Tom, would you endorse that as a move for Kalen DeBoer as he looks to enter 2025 with, as much pressure as you could possibly imagine a year two coach having? I would say that Kalen DeBoer is probably close to that. Would you encourage or endorse bringing Ryan Grubb back to Tuscaloosa?
I mean, the familiarity's certainly there. The comfort level's certainly there. If DeBoer wants to make a change, I don't see why you would go searching outside unless you just don't really, I don't know. I mean, it worked for you in Washington pretty damn well, but you also had Michael Penix and some really good receivers. I don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be at Alabama next year. And if you ask Seahawks fans, they weren't exactly thrilled with Ryan Grubb and his offense this year in Seattle. So I don't know. I think that it makes a lot of sense if DeBoer wants to make a change. I think that's the most likely outcome here, but I don't think it's guaranteed or anything.
Any thoughts?
I think if you can bring him back, you should, just based on like how well it went in Washington, right? Why would you? I guess you'd have to shuffle the staff around a little bit, but I think you want to get the guy back. I just, with Bama, who's going to quarterback that team?
See, that's the thing to me. Like when you watch Alabama this year, was it the offense or was it the quarterback that kind of limited what you were allowed to do in it?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because Milroe, a lot of Bama people will tell you like, hey, he's not good at reading the read option stuff. So the thing is, with the read option, you can kind of keep some hits off him some. But if the guy's not great at reading that, then you're having to do more like design run type stuff, which, that's, you're not just pulling it if you're open at that point. Like you're going and you're getting hit more, which limits a bit what you can do. But he was also probably their second best player on offense, maybe Booker, so like third. Yeah.
I think you bring him back. Let's be honest. I mean, this is more about relationships, this business, than anything. I mean, I don't know what the market's going to be like for Ryan Grubb somewhere else, but you struggled. You already made a move on the defensive staff. You mentioned, shuffling it around for Nick Sheridan, who wasn't great when he was without Kalen DeBoer. I don't know. I just think it might be an easy move.
Yeah, because Sheridan was tight ends coach prior to Grubb leaving. He gets promoted. If you wanted to say, sorry, we're going to go back to something closer to the staff that we had on February 1st of 2024, that would be something that would make sense to me. Austin Mack is the quarterback for Alabama?
For now.
For now is very much.
I think the other interesting part of this from just Grubb's perspective is Grubb was the OC at Alabama. And then an NFL job came open, and he didn't seem to have any hesitation about leaving for the NFL.
Wasn't
Does
it?
he want to come back to college, or might he sit around and wait to see if anything comes around in the NFL level?
If I remember correctly, wasn't it like the perfect scenario for him though to stay in Seattle?
Yeah.
I want to say he had family there. That might have been the determining factor. But you're right. You never know what somebody's aspirations are. He might always have wanted to be an NFL guy, and he might want to stay in the NFL. You never know.
When I was being incredibly unfair, which obviously never happens or rarely happens, I suggested that he spent 2 weeks in Tuscaloosa and wanted to go home. That he was like, you know what, I'm good. I'm really more of a West Coast whale watching guy, not as much of a lake guy. So I'm gonna take it back home. But I think that because he was involved in the recruitment of Austin Mack, who remember was initially signed by Washington and was part of the influx of offensive talent and coaching. If Ryan Grubb does end up back at Alabama, I'm going to assume Austin Mack is the quarterback. And then it'll be a real test of the Kalen DeBoer pixie dust, like, okay, this is your guy, right? You recruited him, you brought him with you, and now it's time. Let's see how the offense does. So excited to see what ends up happening there. All right. Coming up on the other side, it is time for the Locks College Football Playoff Semifinals edition. We'll give you all of our best bets, player props, and more next. Oh, only but so many times. We don't get to do it, but so many times. So I'm happy to say, gentlemen, y'all ready to lock it up?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
Since 2005, the under in games between service academies is 40-9-1.
We're picking locks.
Give me an over in this one as well. A little 2-for-1 special.
Get these locks.
I was a sicko last week. Y'all were watching the good games. I was live betting the hell out of ULM, Kentucky.
My blue plate special 5-star locks are coming.
5-star master lock. Lock it up. You love these locks.
I'm living and dying every point, every cover.
From the locking chair to your eyes and ears, quick recap of what we got out of the quarterfinals. Bud was 4-2. The lock war win. He gets the under 53.5. He also cashes that Texas team total over 31.5. Thank you, overtime. Notre Dame, Georgia, under 45.5. Never a doubt. Cam Scattaboo over 27.5 receptions. The only losses were Oregon plus 2.5 and the Jeremiah Smith under 70.5. I mean,
related.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't understand how you could be upset with that, Bud. That's like the losses were losses so fast that you never got your heart broken, not once.
Exactly. That was that was played out about like I did not want it to.
4-2 for the round now has you 5-6 for the playoffs. I was on the losing end of the lock war, also with the Jeremiah Smith and the Oregon, but came home with Penn State first half -6.5, the over 55 in Oregon, Ohio State, and the first half under in Notre Dame, Georgia, but also picking up a little Arizona State first half plus 7.5 loss along the way. So that has me at 3-4 for the week, 6-8 for the playoff. Danny, disciplined Danny, 4-1. Won the lock war, won Arizona State plus 13, won Penn State -11, won the under in Notre Dame, Georgia, only a loss on UNITY, Oregon plus 2.5. What do we think coming out of a good week for DK?
Now it's time to spray the board. Let's go. Props galore. No, disciplined Danny's back. Come on.
All right. And then Tom Fornelli, who is spraying the board, comes out home with wins in the Texas team total over 31.5, Penn State -11, Ashton Genty under rushing yards, Oregon, Ohio State over, gambling on scrambling. Gabriel and Howard do not cash their rushing totals, but you can bet Riley Leonard did, leading the team. Also, he brought home Notre Dame plus 1.5, 6-3 week for you, Tom, 10-7 for the playoff. How are we feeling?
Good. I got game scripted out of the Gabriel and Howard props because of the way that game went, and that sucked. But other than that, pretty damn happy with the week.
Love it. All right, let's begin with Notre Dame and Penn State. And a reminder that you can find so many different ways to get in on these games at FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can make every moment more. We're looking right now at Notre Dame 2.5, over under around 45.5. Who's got a lock?
I have a few.
Yeah, we've Tom. You want to get us started? You do have the honors on the tee box.
I'm going to start with the under 45.5. Like I said on the show yesterday, I think this game will not be all that indifferent or different looking from what we saw in Georgia Notre Dame. A very similar approach, I think, from both teams. I think that both of these defenses will be the better units on the field at all times. And I just think it's going to be hard for these two offenses, the way they're built and with these matchups, to go down and score a lot of points. Now, if there are turnovers in short field position, that could change a lot of things. My other pick for this game is, hold on one second here. I'm going to take Penn State in the first half plus 1.5.
Ooh.
Okay.
I think that the difference in rest matters.
Mm.
I also think that Notre Dame's offense, I mean, defensively, they're a little banged up. I think Penn State's going to lean a little bit more on the run game in the first half, and I think it'll be effective. Not, we're going to run all over them. But like I said, I think it's going to be a lower scoring game, and I think it's still going to be pretty close in the first half. And I think Penn State, the way that they play, they tend to pull away more in the second half. I just don't see this being a high scoring game. I don't see either team really pulling away. So I feel like that 1.5 could be pretty valuable because this could be like a 10-10 game at halftime. And then finally, because it's available, I'm going to take Jeremiah Love under 41.5 yards rushing.
Yeah.
Just don't know if he's going to play.
Well, you need him to play, though.
I know, but I'm just saying, maybe he'll give it a go. So we're going to see how it works.
Okay, I'm going to do something kind of related to that. I'm going to take Jadarian Price 2 or more touchdowns, 1,400.
Hold on.
That's not a lock.
Yeah, we said.
Okay, we're firing props, right? I'm sorry.
No, give it away. I'm saying give it
away, but I just for the doc.
Props up, I bet.
Yeah.
If you want, I guess we don't. I don't know. You want to count these? I think with the amount of man coverage that Notre Dame probably will play in this game, and the focus that they're going to have on the Penn State running backs. By the way, I will lock up Penn State plus 2.5. I don't think it's going to get the 3. I think Penn State wins the game. So obviously I'm going to take them plus 2.5. I like Harrison Wallace 2 or more touchdowns at 2,800. They do like to throw jump balls to him. I think if you're going to get some 2 bracket stuff on Warren, like Penn State will throw some jump balls to Harrison Wallace. I think there's a chance at that. And I think best I could find in a quick scan this morning, there's still some out there. Again, with like kind of the man covered idea and the fact that Prabul is not playing for Penn State. QB run stuff. I don't hate Drew Aller to have a rushing touchdown or a receiving touchdown at plus 320.
So how about Drew Aller over 10.5 rushing?
Yeah. That's one of mine.
That's
you're
not
locking that up.
Yeah.
What?
You're locking that up, Chip?
Yeah, I'm locking that up. Drew, gambling on scrambling. Drew Aller over 10.5 in the Ohio State game. I remember he came out and he started running a little bit. It does seem like a way for him to be able to use some of those God-given talents to evade the pressure that we are expecting from that Notre Dame defensive front. I'm factoring in there might be 2 sacks or 3 sacks in this. So I'm saying 10.5 and knowing that I might need 30, but overall in the net yards, I think that we should be able to get there along the way. I am also going to be going. This is so negatively correlated. I really should probably parlay it. I'm also going to go passing props. Drew Aller over 183.5.
So you want Aller rushing over and Aller passing over.
Yeah. And then you ready for the next part? This is how I really get the payout. This is how you be an independent thinker. So we go Drew Aller rushing over. We go Drew Aller passing over, and then
fight.
Notre Dame to win the game. Minus 2.5.
Ooh. Fight. I'll join you on the Aller rush over.
Okay, sweet. Let's go. I probably should throw that in there and see what that correlates to, because I might be able to get myself a juicy payout. Talk about a treasure hunt threading the needle. Drew Aller has an awesome game, but can't get it done in the red zone, and then all of a sudden Notre Dame finds a way to win this thing by 3. Let's go. All right. What do we have? So is everybody in? No, wait, Danny, discipline,
Danny, spray the board.
I am going to let the children sing.
All right.
With Bud. Give me Penn State.
Oh, we got bar fight.
And let the children sing with Tom on the under
for the game. All right.
And last one, I don't see anybody else. What's the Riley Leonard rushing prop?
41?
I thought I saw 47 and a half.
Let's see.
See the best number here.
I got 47.5 right here where I'm looking.
Our friends at FanDuel.
Our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can make every moment more.
Are you looking to go over
Under.
or under?
Under Riley Leonard, 47 and a half yards.
That's probably the best number I can see.
All right. You know, it is going to be we are going to have a lot of ways for it to be able to continue to watch this. We're going to be tracking this, and we're going to be doing it right there at Tannehill's, and Tannehill's is a great establishment, and we are a little bit sad because we thought we'd have another member of the family there, but that's okay because she can always take us to the club. So. Mackenzie Brooks, house, Club KENZ, let's go. How are we doing?
I'm getting FOMO that you're going to Dallas, but I had to make an executive decision, and that was to go to the Orange Bowl here in my backyard.
So you chose like 70-degree weather?
Yeah, you chose 70-degree weather instead of 3 inches of snow.
I know, but I love to hang out with you guys. So I was like, oh.
You'll be
no,
missed.
I'll be holding down the fort for the team, live betting on the Hard Rock. Someone's got to do it.
We're live sweats with KENZ. Is that what we're going to have going on Thursday night?
Listen, if my own team's not going to be in the Orange Bowl as planned, we might as well make as much money off of it as we possibly can to compensate.
I think that's a fair way to do it. What are you eyeing here in these semifinal games?
As far as the Orange Bowl, I actually was listening before I came on for the first time in a long time. So now I really know what's going on here. I'm in on Penn State. We have Penn State winning this game. And this is tough because these are the two teams that the model has loved all year. But if you can get, with such a small spread, might as well go with the plus money dog here, in my opinion. And I feel like Notre Dame scored, 17 points in 53 seconds? And one office strip stack from an inexperienced quarterback. I just have a hard time believing we're going to get the same type of vibe from Drew Aller. And their D-line's banged up, and you couldn't really tell against the Georgia run game, who's clearly not what it's been in years past. And again, inexperienced quarterback. So I just feel like Penn State will be able to expose that a little bit more than Georgia was able to. So my dogs gave their best fight they could given the circumstances, but I think Penn State can expose Notre Dame a little bit better.
All right, so we're going to lock up some Penn State. And by the way, KENZ in the quarterfinal round cashed on her lock for Penn State -11. And then the Harrison Wallace over 41.5. As we discussed on the New Year's Eve show, he had the catch. He was in the middle of the field, and just two weak arms brought him to the ground. If he had just simply broken that tackle, we would have been there. Had it ready to go. He ends up tripping over his feet. We fall at 37, right? Was it somewhere around there? It Criminal, right side.
I have another prop for the next game, though, I think.
All right, let's let it rip.
Okay, well, DeAndre Moore, or at least earlier, was plus 350 anytime touchdown, which felt really, really like a wrong price, considering we have, he is our best chance to score a touchdown of the entire offense in the Sims. And he accounts for 26% of the teams receiving touchdowns. So, sometimes with, the math, that math is not mathing. That's a really good price for him. And I don't know if it's still there. It was yesterday. So that's one to look out for anytime touchdown-wise.
I've got a 300 on that.
And he scored in the last round too, right?
He scored against Arizona State. He is often overlooked because he doesn't have that recognizable name like Isaiah Bond. He's not the five-star freshman of Ryan Wingo. And obviously Matthew Golden has sort of emerged as their go-to guy, but second-year player who's super talented and scary in space. I like that a lot for DeAndre Moore on an anytime touchdown. Is there anything else that you like for the Cotton Bowl game?
So we have Texas winning, and I'm not here to tell anybody to take that. I do understand why. I think this defense will hold Ohio State better. I think this defense will understand that Jeremiah Smith exists, unlike Oregon seem to remember. I'm willing to bank on that fact and studying some film there. But it's Ohio State, they're on this awesome run. But I'm not that old. I'm old enough to remember 4 weeks ago when we all wanted to fire Ryan Day. That part of this team still possibly exists. We have to remember that. And although, Texas technically looked bad coming back against Arizona State. That was the best Quinn Ewers game to me. In a high pressure situation, finally showed like a clutch gene that we've been waiting to see, converting in the end zone too. So I wouldn't necessarily statistically, I'm not digging this Texas team for that. Like, I feel like that's just as awesome momentum, honestly. So I think 6 points is a lot. With all that said, I'm terrified of that in Ohio State. So I think the under would be the better play for me with Texas's defense holding Ohio State's offense.
Ooh, Texas under. Okay. You get maybe you get a little Ohio State team total?
Thought about it. But Texas,
under.
they all start slow. Like Texas and Ohio State starts games slow all the time. Third quarter spread, Chip.
I know. I'm on it. Don't worry.
Oh my God.
Yes. Don't worry. We're about to turn the page on, and the opportunities that FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can make every moment more. The fact that I get at least one more time and maybe two more times to take Ohio State in the third quarter. I mean, I just dance with the date that brought you. You know, it's just if you come this far, you got to be able to drive it home the rest of the way. I like that a lot. All right, so we should be following on Talk and Twitter Thursday night.
Yeah. We're gonna do some things with the Hard Rock Thursday night. And I might be on CBS on Thursday night too. Might hit a little segment on primetime pregame.
Nice.
Talk a little locks.
Let's
Might as well make the most of my experience, right? My good friend Josh Pate's gonna be there. Might as well get on the field.
Nice.
Hold on. So we got Pate and KENZ sideline reporting.
Movie.
Yeah, let's go. All right. She is Mackenzie Brooks. We appreciate all of the advice, and be sure to follow her. Again, she will be all over the coverage of the Orange Bowl, doing some work with CBS, doing some work with the good people at Hard Rock as well. Thanks, KENZ.
See you guys.
Later.
See ya.
And coming up on the other side, we will turn the page to that second semifinal Friday night's game between Ohio State and Texas, and more. Next.
CBS Sports HQ, giving you college football coverage unlike anyone else.
We're talking Big Ten.
Pre- and post-game coverage.
Are you encouraged with the way that this team responded?
Along with breaking news.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
Highlights and expert analysis.
That streak could be in jeopardy here.
Sure. What was your main takeaway from this game? How impressive was his domination?
That really changed the football game.
Let's go ahead and have some more fun.
Another wild ending.
The chaos continues.
Turn to CBS Sports HQ.
All right, Danny, why don't you rip the Band-Aid off? Let's get going. Cotton Bowl locks. What do we got?
I am with KENZ on the idea that Texas is the value play. Give me Texas +6. It scares me. Feel like I could be stepping in front of a locomotive, but I'm also banking on it's been close to perfect for Ohio State for 2 games. You've got 2 games of film to see some of these concepts, to hopefully have somebody have a plan for Jeremiah Smith where he's not running wide open on a deep over route. So yeah, give me Texas +6.
All right.
Tom's fighting that all day.
I mean, me too. Like,
Fight.
I'm gonna lay it with Ohio State. I guess we do get to get a 5.5 here. The thing, numbers, I'm not normally known as a numbers guy, but 13,294. So 13 catches for 290 yards and 4 touchdowns in 2 games for Jeremiah Smith. I think as much film study and game planning as you want to do will not stop this man from eating. 6'3", 215 pounds, a matchup nightmare that I don't need to tell a lot of people about just because we've watched him all year. But the way that he has been just unlocked here in the playoff is significant. When Chip Kelly meets with the media, takes ownership for things that went wrong in the Michigan game and during the regular season, but then the product that follows those comments is what we've seen. I think he and Will Howard, offensive coordinator and quarterback, are in total sync right now. They understand what they want to do. They are seeing everything the same. And when you've got that kind of talent, not just with Smith, but obviously with Ibuka, Tate, and the rest of the group, I do think that the offensive ceiling in this matchup, it might be tough to be able to block Texas up front because Texas has done such a good job of that throughout the year. But I think Ohio State wins this game, and I think there are outcomes, to like borrow from Bud's bucket, but like there are outcomes where Ohio State wins big. you know, where this is just they can put a number up that that Texas is not going to be able to meet against that defense. That is what I mean. I know that they've got 2 lopsided wins. We're talking about number 1 scoring defense, number 1 in total defense. No team other than Oregon scored more than 17 points all year long. Bud had that great comment in Big Game Breakdown. He said, I think we just we haven't acknowledged that Ohio State's been great defensively because we thought all their opponents were weak. I think they're just great. So I've got Ohio State. I will lay these points. I've got a few other plays on this game, but I don't want to take too much time. So let me go ahead and also tack on, as you might expect, the best third quarter team in America right now at FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can make every moment more. We get the Buckeyes minus 1.5 plus 104.
All right. I'm also with you on Ohio State minus 5.5. I said on the show yesterday, and I meant it, I think Ohio State's going to blow them out. I will also be taking some alternate lines, which we can't use as lock purposes, but I might do an entire ladder play on Ohio State and the spread in this one. Just keep incrementing it up a little bit more and more. I just, we look at this Texas defense, and it's great. I'm not denying that there's not talent. I think the defensive line is phenomenal. I think they've got a couple of good safeties. The rest of it, I am not convinced is exceptional. And you look at their regular season, and we could play the game, what's the best offense they faced? And there really weren't a lot. And you watch the regular season, and there were 2 games that they played in which they allowed 24 points or more. There was the Vandy game, which they won 27-24, and the week before in which they lost to Georgia 30-15. They've played 2 playoff games, and they've allowed 24 and 31 points in both of them. It's like, for some reason, as the competition got better, which, by the way, they had that easy path. They had that 5 seed. They didn't have to play anybody tough. But suddenly the defense not looking nearly as good, giving up points, giving up yards. And now they're playing Ohio State. So give me, along with my spread, Ohio State team total over 29.5, because they are going to score a whole lot of points in this game. And then finally, just one prop, G. Scott over 14.5 receiving yards.
Yeah.
Do you know who ranks 115th nationally in receiving yards allowed to tight ends this year?
The Texas Longhorns.
The Texas Longhorns. Yeah. You know who's had at least 30 yards in each of the last 2 playoff games for Ohio State? G. Scott. Give it to me.
Let's go. Oh.
Got him.
Got him. Mute button.
No.
Coming through with the lock win.
Right, going to do a agreement with Tom there on the G. Scott.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Is there a true media pull down that Tom created that you're like, oh, this is like yards against tight ends? Let's go.
I just think you're going to have a lot of focus on Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
Like a lot. As far as like non-prop locks, I do like Texas under 23.5. If you watch Ohio State there, like I think Chip really was pretty in his bag at times. And also Howard made some very nice throws, 2 of them in particular. And the interior of that Ohio State line was decent, but the tackles, like, they did get beat a good bit. And it didn't really matter because the ball was out so quick. But there is like a scenario that plays out where, like, Texas maybe holds them a little bit lower, like maybe they're not able to go quite as quick. Maybe they're behind the chains a little bit more. But I really do think that that Ohio State defensively is like every bit as good as the Georgia team that ate this Texas team alive twice. And I don't think Texas can be able to run the ball very well on them. So I do like Wisner under 60.5 as well. And this is kind of related to that. I mean, Golden's been getting a lot of targets, but I don't think he's that good, man. Honestly, I like Golden under 64.5 as well. So kind of a lower scoring game projected for Texas for me. I I prefer the Texas team total under to the spread because I think there is some scenario in which maybe Ohio State's offense is somewhere between like what it showed against Michigan and Penn State and what it showed in the last 2 games.
And that would be, so if you've got Texas team total under for Golden, under for Wisner.
28-23.
Yeah, right.
Is a loser on the spread, but a winner on the team total.
So I just want to be clear. You're locking up Golden, Wisner, and the G. Scott.
Yeah, and under on Texas 23.5.
And what was the number you got on Wisner?
60.5.
Yeah.
All right.
Danny?
Discipline, baby. I'm using all the discipline right now. Just want another 4-0. Come on.
The voice is kind of erotic the way you're saying.
We're just in on Texas.
Discipline, baby.
We don't want to
Texas.
Just in on Texas.
Give me them 6 points all day long. I was looking at it. I was fishing around. And I was thinking about the under on the game. Can their defense slow down Ohio State? That's probably the best way to get the cover. But
oh yeah, without Texas, I don't think Texas wants this as a shootout.
I was looking at a Gunnar Helm receiving prop.
It's too high. It's like 44.5. That's
right.
I needed that a shade down to be able, because Gunnar Helm, I'm with you on that one. That when everything else is falling apart, Gunnar Helm over the middle is where Quinn Ewers' eyes go for sure. But that number just feels a little high. I'll tell you what number feels a little low. Will Howard passing yards over 247.5.
You're locking it up?
Locking it up.
All right. That's okay.
Thrown for 300 in each of the last 2 games.
He has.
Yep.
You just wonder how much they'll have to throw in the second half, Chip.
Well, that's true. I mean, in case you can't tell, I had to write a story for CBSSports.com about why Ohio State will win it all this morning. So we all have our biases. My bias was that I've spent all morning digging in on reasons why I think Ohio State can win, not just this game, but the next 2 games. So, yeah, what I've seen from Howard is somebody who's just totally locked in sync, understands what they want to do, how to do it. Some of the 2 of his, I made the argument, 2 of his 4 best games all year long have been these last 2. So, and it shouldn't be that big of a surprise considering he was a transfer stepping into a new team with a new coordinator and new pieces all around him. So I say he keeps it rolling. Just need to go get me 250. So Will Howard over 247.5. And then CFP in the tailgate. No, I did get in on the third quarter -1.5. All right. Any other Orange Bowl or any other Cotton Bowl locks? All right.
You guys like anything touchdown wise in that game?
Will Howard, anytime TD.
Yeah, running touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
We'll make that as part of as we're going through during the tailgate live show. We'll let it rip on some props. Like all the plus 1,400, all the like plus 800, all the stuff that you see there with a little bit of value. Like we'll definitely be able to give those out to the people.
I will say FanDuel posted one that, in my opinion, is too juiced to play. But from like an ordinal ranking standpoint, like as far as like who's first, who's second, who's third, who's fourth, I don't know that Travion Henderson should be third as far as like the most likely to lead the game in rushing.
Ooh, most likely to lead the game in rushing.
Like he's plus 260. Obviously, like this is pretty juiced. I mean, it's Wisner 140, Judkins 210, Henderson 260, Jaden Blue 1,000, and Will Howard 2,400. But if I had to play one of those, I think I would play Henderson.
Travion.
Yeah,
I like that. All right, let's review our semifinal locks. Buds on. Penn State plus 2.5. Drew Aller over 10.5 rushing yards. G. Scott over 14.5 receiving yards. Texas team total under 23.5. Matthew Golden under 64.5 receiving yards. Quintravious Wisner under 60.5 rushing yards. I've got Notre Dame minus 2.5. Drew Aller over 10.5 rushing yards. Drew Aller over 183.5 passing yards. Ohio State minus 5.5. Ohio State third quarter minus 1.5. Will Howard over 247.5 passing yards. Discipline Danny on Penn State plus 2.5. Penn State Notre Dame under 45.5. Riley Leonard under 47.5 rushing yards. Texas plus 6. And time's on. Penn State first half plus 1.5. Penn State Notre Dame under 45.5. G. Scott over 14.5 receiving yards. Ohio State minus 5.5. Ohio State team total over 29.5. Jeremiah Love under 41.5 rushing yards. And this Moneyline Sprinkles segment is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. The only sprinkles that have come home the whole college football playoff are from Danny Kanell and Tom Fornelli, both jumping in on Notre Dame plus 105. I know I heard some Texas. I heard some Penn State. Are we adding those dogs to the sprinkle list?
Penn State. Give it to me.
Penn State.
Plus
All
120.
Right. Who else?
I'm good.
I'm good.
I like my 2.5.
Ooh, okay. Danny, trying to get in as the sprinkle king. Tom loading up on the favorites. We'll see. We still got a title game to go after this before we're finally deciding our last playoff locks and sprinkles.
Refresh my memory here. Because we got Notre Dame when they were still the underdog, but they were the favorite by the time the game started. Has an underdog won a game yet in this tournament?
No.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We're due. We're due.
This is the Danny Kanell roulette story all over again. Just go find the Reds and bet it on black.
Just saying. The only, yeah. Okay.
And this Moneyline Sprinkles segment has been brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. All right. So, did anybody watch the FCS national championship game Monday?
I did.
Did you bet on it?
No, I did not actually. I did watch though.
I don't watch that minor league crap.
I tell you what's impressive is
that'll make some people very mad that I said that.
What's impressive is North Dakota State being able to keep their quarterback for 5 years, and he's really good. Cam Miller, had 81 touchdowns in his career against only like 20 interceptions, and he finished his career there. And today, I bet he had some suitors out there that probably tried to lure him away somewhere.
I had to make a tactical decision in that all the football I've been watching these last few weeks with all the bowls and the playoff, and then I'm leaving town tomorrow for a few days. I had to give the wife one night. I couldn't be like, all right, honey, we're going to watch North Dakota State. It just, couldn't do it.
What did you guys
watch? We started watching Landman on
Paramount Plus.
Great.
Great show. We got through.
You know what had it? You're probably not that far in, but Jerry Jones' cameo was making the round. He was really good. And that was the joke, was everybody like, he's a better actor than he is an owner of the Cowboys, which I would not. He was really good as an actor. The show's great.
Landman, starring Billy Bob Thornton on Paramount.
John
Plus.
Hamm, Demi Moore, Jerry Jones.
I didn't even know Demi Moore was in it for like 3 episodes. I didn't recognize her.
So she's still doing.
She's got like an Al Golden thing going on,
except the reverse way. Somehow she might look better.
Wanted to. I brought that up. KENZ chimed back in to say that she wanted to gloat about cashing FCS championship props last night. Apparently, Ty McCullough receiving yards lock of the year.
This is me waving bye-bye to your account if you're crushing FCS championship props.
Hey, listen, I'm sure she gave it out on CBS Sports HQ. So if you were watching, you could have been right there. Could have been an opportunity for you. So tomorrow, we're all going to be headed down to Fort Worth. Then on Thursday, be sure to keep track of all the Cover 3 podcast socials, because we're going to continue to give you updates all throughout the day leading into the show, what we're going to have, give you an idea of what's in store, because again, this is going to be where you want to be on Thursday night. You want to be at Tannehill's Tavern and Music Hall, because doors open at 4 p.m. Central. The show is scheduled to start at 5 p.m. Central. We'll go right up until about 6:30, right around the start of the Orange Bowl. Then when the Orange Bowl starts at 6:30 Central, we're bringing in extra TVs. We are opening up the Connecting Lounge. We have half-price pizzas and drink specials for the Cover 3 tailgate in this occasion. There will be food service. There'll be like servers in the concert hall for food and beverage all throughout the game. So we're putting our flag down. Like, this is going to be the spot in the Dallas-Fort Worth area on Thursday night. It'll be snowy outside. It'll be cozy inside. Come hang out with the Cover 3 tailgate as we enjoy some college football, enjoy each other. Everybody who's there, you're going to have an opportunity to get involved with the show as well. So we look forward to all of that. Any other final words?
I love you.
I love you too. We'll see you in Fort Worth. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fornelli. You can follow him at Danny Kanell. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow me at Chip _Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank
See
you.
you.
See ya.